Warna hijau. Dan perlu audio. Presentasi ini perlu audio.
Oke, selamat malam semuanya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, Ibu Mary Ellen, yes. And then Jed, and then the other guests, and semuanya teman-teman yang sudah meluangkan waktu ke Mozilla Community Space hari ini. Terima kasih. Dan teman-teman dari holder Mozilla Space juga, terima kasih untuk datang. Malam hari ini kita ada tema spesial dan kedatangan tamu spesial Mary. Nanti akan mempersembahkan sebuah presentasi tentang branding strategy. Pertama-tama saya ingin memperkenalkan diri, nama saya Agnes Purnomo. Jadi saya salah satu key holder di sini, I'm one of the key holders here. Dan sehari-hari space ini memang dijalankan oleh key holders, volunteers. And then, apa itu Mozilla? Ada yang tahu? Anyone knows what Mozilla is? Except you. You mastered all the knowledge about Mozilla. Ya, ada yang tahu? Mungkin teman-teman yang baru datang, ada yang tahu Mozilla apa itu? Web browser, perangkat bahasa Indonesia, betul. Tapi Mozilla bukan hanya Firefox saja, lebih banyak sekali produk Mozilla itu. Jadi Mozilla itu sebenarnya bukan nama browser saja, tapi dia adalah organisasi non-profit yang membuat Firefox tadi. Misinya adalah untuk melindungi web, dan dia salah satu key pointnya adalah non-profit. Jadi tidak seperti perusahaan lain ya yang big giants, big bros itu. Jadi kita tidak mengejar keuntungan di sini. Jadi misi Mozilla yang paling utama adalah membangun atau mewujudkan internet atau web yang lebih baik. Yang lebih baik itu bagaimana yang bisa mencakup lebih banyak orang ini. Tidak hanya orang yang di kota besar saja, tapi di daerah juga bisa. Tidak hanya orang yang bisa bahasa Inggris saja, tapi juga orang yang bisa bahasa daerah ya, bisa menggunakan. Oke, ada footage. Let's watch.
The world was built by hand, brick by brick, page by page, line by line. And despite all of our technological progress, there's still nothing more powerful than the human hand. To cross boundaries, to challenge convention, to declare independence. So never underestimate every click, every swipe, every tap you make with yours. Because the things you love to do online matter. And when you use Firefox, you have the power to keep them personal. Every search, every visit, every conversation personal free on the web. Welcome to Firefox.
Oke, jadi itu intinya. Jadi kenapa Mozilla memang apa ya, harus kita dukung, karena tadi mereka mengutamakan privacy. Ya. Kita tahu bahwa privacy sudah menjadi isu yang sangat penting sekarang di internet, apalagi setelah ada kasus Facebook itu. Ya.
Pakai akun
Pasti itu.
Bukan itu di tempat lain. Itu langsung.
Oke, jadi ini ada dua produk browser atau peramban yang menjadi unggulan kita di Indonesia. Ada Firefox Quantum. Ada yang tahu apa itu Firefox Quantum? Jadi Firefox Quantum adalah mirip dengan Firefox, tapi dia diutamakan untuk kecepatan. So the priority is the speed. Speednya lebih bagus daripada yang lain. And then ada Firefox Rocket juga. Firefox Rocket ini khusus didesain untuk Indonesia. Jadi kalau browser-browser lain mungkin ada sinyal 3G atau 4G baru bisa dipakai, dia mungkin 4G atau 2,5G masih bisa dipakai. Jadi kalau teman-teman di daerah pedalaman yang sinyalnya mungkin mati hidup, bisa pakai Firefox Rocket. Okay. And then ini ada sedikit presentasi tentang Firefox Rocket. Jadi dia khusus dibuat untuk orang Indonesia. So it's really light and you can install it on your old Android browser, old Android handset. Okay. So dari semua itu kan browser. Kita juga ada produk-produk yang lain. Jadi tidak hanya browser Firefox, tapi juga ada Firefox Focus. Firefox Focus adalah browser yang lebih mengutamakan privasi. Jadi kalau teman-teman ingin browsing tanpa ingin diketahui oleh pihak ketiga, pakai Firefox Focus. Kemudian ada Rust language. Rust ini bahasa pemrograman yang dibuat dan didukung oleh Mozilla. Jadi untuk membuat produk-produknya biasanya pakai Rust language. Kemudian ada Common Voice. Common Voice ini adalah sebuah usaha bersama untuk seperti mengajari mesin untuk berinteraksi dengan manusia. Jadi misalnya nanti ada rumah pintar itu bisa pakai database dari Common Voice. And then ada Mozilla Rep Jadi hal-hal yang bisa dihubungkan dengan internet itu nanti juga bisa memakai Mozilla IoT. Dan ada beberapa info yang lebih lengkap lagi ada di research.mozilla.org. Oke, jadi Mozilla tidak hanya organisasi non-profit yang diperkuat oleh staff yang permanen, tapi juga kebanyakan orang yang memperkuat Mozilla adalah volunteers, seperti saya. Oke, jadi juga ada Lebih. Ya. Jadi kita tidak dibayar, tapi kita yakin dengan misi Mozilla dan ingin untuk mendukung tadi misi Mozilla untuk merealisasikan, mewujudkan internet yang aman, yang egaliter, yang lebih mengutamakan privasi pengguna. Oke, jadi kita sudah berdiri sejak tahun sudah ada sejak tahun 2004 dan tahun 2016 kita baru punya space. Nah, kalau ingin bergabung silakan datang aja atau mau berkontribusi. Kalau nggak bisa kesini tiap hari atau reguler itu boleh bisa tanya di sini lah. Bagaimana saya bisa berkontribusi? Kalau nggak bisa datang, misalnya apa dari rumah asal ada koneksi internet bisa berkontribusi. Kalau ada yang jadi web developers di sini, ya, Anda bisa subscribe atau berlangganan newsletter ini ya di sini. Jadi Anda nanti mungkin bisa tahu kabar terbaru untuk berkontribusi itu seperti apa. Oke, jadi donasi karena kita non profit, kita juga mengandalkan donasi untuk menggerakkan acara-acara kita seperti ini. Dan karena mungkin orang tidak semuanya bisa menyumbangkan tenaga atau waktu seperti saya dan teman-teman volunteer lainnya, kita bisa menyumbang sejumlah uang lewat link ini, donate.mozilla.org. Oke, jadi sekilas tentang Mozilla Community Space Jakarta ini berdiri tahun 2016, jadi 2 tahun pernah di Cikini, kemudian pindah di sini 2 tahun lalu ya. Oh, 1 tahun lalu. Oke, jadi di sini kita bukan sebuah kantor cabang Mozilla gitu ya. Jadi tidak ada hubungannya dengan Mozilla yang di sana, tapi kita hanya sebagai sebuah ruang komunitas. Jadi Mozilla mendukung komunitas Mozilla Indonesia untuk berinteraksi dan membuat event-event untuk sharing pengetahuan secara gratis. Oke, jadi kegiatan kita bisa dipantau atau kalau ingin datang gitu kan, oh saya ada waktu luang nih, saya ingin belajar ke Mozilla, bisa cek di mozilla.org/space/calendar. Dan kalau teman-teman ada yang ingin punya komunitas dan komunitasnya punya acara misalnya sharing sesuatu di sini yang positif, silakan mendaftarkan eventnya di URL ini ya. Oke, jadi ini key holders. Jadi community space ini digerakkan oleh key holders. Jadi yang bersih-bersih, yang jagain gitu kan. Pokoknya yang membantu semua ini bisa set in order gitu. Jadi ada banyak orang yang salah satunya saya dan teman-teman lain, Yofi, Bara juga, media. Tidak semuanya datang hari ini ya. Jadi semuanya memberikan kontribusi dalam bentuk yang mereka bisa. Jadi nggak harus uang ya, waktu, tenaga. Kalau bisanya jaga mungkin malam habis kerja, silakan aja. Jadi memang benar-benar non profit dan volunteer based. Nah, kalau ingin main ke sini silakan aja, asal pada jam operasional ya, jangan pada jam 2 malam atau jam 1 malam. Jadi bukanya jam 2 sampai jam 9 malam, kecuali hari libur nasional ya. Oke, jadi kalau ada teman-teman yang punya komunitas juga atau perkumpulan yang isinya memang ingin berbagi sesuatu yang positif gitu, boleh mengadakan event di sini dengan cara mengklik nanti ada formulir reservasinya di itu ya, selebaran brosur ya, nanti bisa tanya Mbak Al juga kalau mau. Oke, kalau ada saran atau masukan juga bisa lewat URL yang ada di kertas itu ya, untuk memperbaiki kinerja kita ke depan. Oke, dan ini media social accounts kita, ada Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, ya, atau Telegram group yang punya Telegram. Jadi supaya kita tahu acara-acara nextnya ya. Oke, I think that's all. That's a wrap. Silakan Ibu Mary. Oh, game dulu. Oke. Ya, kita agak game dulu. Silakan. Berdiri atau tidak?
dari sini bisa hitung 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1.
Play. Oh itu juga.
Ya.
2.
2.
1.
Oke, yang satu di sebelah sini, 2 di sini. Duduk. Yuk pindah-pindah, nggak usah bawa tas. 1 di sini, 2 di sini. Kita main-main dulu.
You may be seated. This is a group game, so each group has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 to 7, 6 to 8.
Bisa. Sini aja nih dulu. 2-nya nomor 1, 2 di sini. Mari, you have your number 1, right? Saya pindahin dulu ya, siapa punya?
Bisa bahasa Inggris semua?
1, 2.
So we're gonna have a little guessing game, and this I have a keyword, names of different kinds of food. Some you might know, some you might have a little difficulty to explain, which is part of the game. So the goal is we're going to start the game by selecting the first member of the group, the one on the center, and they will take one of these little cards and then they read it, and then they will try to do the best to explain whatever is in this paper in whatever language it is. I'm not pushing you to do English today. So you try super hard to explain to the group what it is, and so they will try to guess it. If they get the answer correctly, you may be seated again, and then we go to the second person in the group, and we do it all over again. If you happen to find one of these cards is like super hard to explain, and you just can't do it, you put the card back and you pick another keyword.
Okay.
We don't want to get you to be frustrated with the game, so we'll try to make it easier. I guess we'll start with the first person in the group. You're from group number 1, and you're group number 6. Can you two please stand over here? Ini salah satu baca dan kasih tahu orang disimpan aja. Kita kasih waktu untuk dijelasin aja sampai mereka ngerti ini makanan apa yang ada di kertas ini. Oke. Dikasih waktu. Oke. Dikasih waktu 1 menit. You will each have 60 seconds to try to explain whatever it is. And if you can get the answer correctly, you sit down and we go to the second one. Okay?
Are we all?
Yes.
Are we all guessing?
You're guessing.
Yes. You'll take turns.
We're guessing too.
Yeah. So 60 seconds.
Itu tadi timingnya di sini ya. Ini satu aja. Enggak. Karena sudah dibilang.
Iya, tapi jangan dibunuh.
Oke, Bapak.
Oke, Baba,
Ini aja.
ada di sana, ada di sana, ini ada di sana.
Oke.
Sana jelas semua ada di sini.
Apa dulu? Satu.
Dimulai dari sekarang.
Ya.
It was food and it's very long.
Aduh. Noodle. Spaghetti.
Yes.
Tapi
Udah satu.
Second person.
second person kan mie apa?
Oh iya.
Ya, harus jelasin. Kamu ingat terbalik mie apa?
Oke.
30 detik lagi.
How do you know?
Ya.
Yes.
Oke, dulu. Oke, ya. Ini pakai di sini lagi. 1, 2, 3.
Just mention the thing, right?
Pudding?
Suddenly pop. Yes.
Cereal tofu.
All
Very traditional.
This kind of food that outside Indonesia.
Western. 1, 2, 3.
From Nepal.
Ceplok telur omelet.
Yes.
Next one.
Next one.
Iya, nama
Sate.
tahu nggak?
Sate kaki.
Tunggu ya, tunggu. Cara pegangnya jangan ini ya, kita benar biasa. Kamuan dari Western. Okay. You usually have this for breakfast.
Spaghetti.
It's flat and round, and you make it out of griddle. You put syrup and butter on it. Sometimes blueberries in it.
Pie.
Um,
Pancake.
Yes.
So you breakfast with pancake.
It's Italian food. Italian food. Name it.
This is made from potatoes, and they're long and cook them in oil.
French fries.
Okay, it's Japanese food.
Sushi?
No, it's a soup.
Miso
Bowl.
soup? Miso soup?
No. Comes in a bowl.
Ramen.
Like that, but thicker. Thicker than ramen.
Ramen.
Yes.
Okay. So this is Italian food.
Spaghetti.
Pizza.
Kind of pizza.
Makanan dari
That's pizza, Pak. Oh, what kind of pizza?
Makanan dari jenis pepperoni.
Yes,
Pak.
pepperoni.
They already finished.
Aduh, ayam buat.
So if you want something, get you prizes. You will get Thank you for playing. I hope you have a hard time explaining a variety of food, Western and Indonesian. You like the food so far?
Yes, of course.
What size? L is it? L or X? L is
XL.
So size is tends to be a little smaller than what you might normally wear in the US.
I think you can just
Media hiburan harapan pertama.
everyone who got this t-shirt can take photos.
Five, four, three, two, one. Thank you.
Okay, you can go back to your own seat.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Next session we have Vicky. Oh, okay. Ini is Mozilla representative from Indonesia and also Mozilla staff. Okay. Sorry guys. Oke, sambil nunggu slide-nya muncul, mungkin perkenalan dulu aja kali ya. Tolong. So, hi everyone. Introduction-nya pakai bahasa Inggris, tapi nanti saya presentasi pakai bahasa Indonesia. So, hi everyone. My name is Kiki. I'm a Mozilla representative in Indonesia. We have like 13, I think, for now. We used to have like 20 or something, but yeah, it's straying over time. So we have 30 now, and I'm one of them. And I used to contribute. I'm still contributing in Mozilla in the Sumo platform, in support Mozilla platform. So it's a user support platform where we can kind of like helping other Firefox user to kind of find out their problem and like doing troubleshooting. But now I also work for Mozilla in the community development team. So we're handling the volunteers all around the world because Mozilla has a lot of volunteers, like all over the world. So, but today I will talk about the health report. This is one of our work, and this year kita dulu tahun 2017 juga pernah ngeluarin internet health report juga. Tapi yang ini isunya agak berbeda karena setiap tahun itu kita pasti keluarin kok, tapi baru 2 tahun ini. So, ada di sini ada nggak yang nggak tahu apa itu internet? Is there anybody here doesn't know what internet is? No, right? I think. Okay. You're all like semua orang kota jadi mungkin tahu tentang internet. But tapi di belahan dunia lain mungkin ada yang nggak terlalu tahu internet kan, dan meskipun internet udah sangat menjadi bagian dari kehidupan sehari-hari kita, tapi banyak banget isu-isu di internet sekarang ini. Kayak misalkan yang kita bahas dalam internet health report itu ada 5 hal. Jadi yang pertama adalah privacy dan security. Dan kita bertanya nih, di setiap satu isu itu kita bertanya satu hal, kayak di privacy and security itu kita bertanya sebenarnya internet itu safe nggak sih, aman nggak sih selama ini gitu. Kayak kalau saya dulu itu suka ngisi biodata terus tuker-tukeran pakai binder sama teman-teman. Ada yang pernah kayak gitu nggak sih? ribet banget. Kalau di kampung kayak gitu, jadi kita tuker-tukeran biodata gitu pakai binder sama teman-teman. Tapi kalau sekarang kalian sadar nggak kita melakukan itu setiap hari, setiap kita sign up ke layanan tertentu, mereka pasti minta data kita, data pribadi kita kan. Padahal data pribadi kita sebenarnya kan sangat berharga sebenarnya. Apalagi kalau misalnya mereka punya data banyak orang, mereka bisa melakukan hal yang semena-mena dengan itu. Jadi itu kayak jadi pertanyaan besar gitu. Sebenarnya internet itu aman nggak sih, secure nggak sih, terus mereka mau melindungi privasi kita nggak sih, gitu. Ada yang pernah dengar isu tentang boneka? Jadi itu tuh boneka, mereka perusahaan pengeluar boneka. Terus ternyata si boneka itu dikasih kamera surveillance gitu biar bisa mengikuti biar bisa tahu sebenarnya ini user itu maunya apa sih gitu. Jadi mereka tuh masang chip tertentu di boneka itu biar mereka bisa dapat lebih banyak data gitu dari user. Bahkan sampai segitunya sekarang ini internet digunakan gitu. Jadi itu jadi tanya besar sebenarnya internet itu kedepannya gimana sih penggunaannya biar lebih aman gitu. Terus yang kedua adalah isu tentang seberapa terbuka sih internet itu. Gitu. Di sini teman-teman ada, kalau misalnya kita bayangin aja deh, kalau misalkan kita mau bikin saluran televisi tertentu gitu, kalau misalkan kita mau bikin radio tertentu, kita pasti harus lapor dong ke pemerintah, ya kan? Kayak harus ini saya mau pakai frekuensi ini segala macam. Tapi kalau di internet, bayangin aja teman-teman mau bikin website, harus daftar ke kelurahan, nggak usah kan? Jadi sebenarnya internet itu hal yang resource yang selama ini sangat-sangat terbuka gitu, biar kita bisa berpartisipasi dengan seberapa mungkin. Tapi sebenarnya keterbukaan internet itu juga sekarang sedang terancam karena kayak misalnya teman-teman di sini pasti pernah dengar nggak ada yang sosial media atau IM tertentu di blok sama pemerintah, ya kan? Kayak dulu Telegram pernah di blok gara-gara dia oh iya TikTok juga ya, anak kekinian banget ya. Iya TikTok, terus Medium segala macam kan semuanya pernah di blok sama pemerintah kan, dan itu kan sebenarnya platform-platform itu bukannya yang harmful banget gitu, padahal kalau kita bisa memfilternya justru lebih banyak manfaatnya daripada iya, ya itu dia. Terus yang ketiga, isu yang ketiga adalah tentang digital inclusion, tentang siapa sih yang bisa berpartisipasi di internet gitu. Kalau selama ini kan kalau di kota mungkin semua orang kita bisa ya pasti udah punya smartphone lah ya. Cuman kalau di desa-desa gitu misalkan mereka kan juga bahkan infrastrukturnya belum terbangun gitu. Mereka nggak bisa akses, bahkan mereka pun nggak punya device-nya. Mereka nggak meskipun ada sinyal 3G di sana, tapi mereka nggak punya device-nya kan sama di bawah kan. Dan kayak itu banyak banget hal-hal yang ini contohnya nih. Ini adalah chart tentang harga harga data plan di Afrika sama di negara-negara yang lain. Lihat aja, Afrika paling mahal karena mereka persebaran di Afrika juga paling rendah karena emang di sana harga data plan itu masih mahal banget. Jadi belum affordable di sini gitu. Kayak kita ingat aja deh, kayak harga paket internet beberapa tahun yang lalu kan pasti mahal banget kan, jauh lebih murah sekarang. Itu karena semakin kesini kita semakin dipermudah, sedangkan teman-teman kita di Afrika atau di tempat-tempat lain yang masih belum dijangkau sama internet itu ya mereka terbatas gitu, nggak bisa berpartisipasi di internet gitu. Terus kayak misalkan kita bayangin aja nih, misalkan teknologi kayak yang masih baru banget ya, kayak misalkan voice assistant gitu, Google Assistant atau Siri gitu. Kalian bayangin aja kalau misalkan Google Assistant, kalau kita mau ngomong sama Google Assistant itu harus pakai bahasa Inggris, logatnya British misalkan. Coy, susah banget ya. Google Assistant pakai logat British kan susah kan, yang bisa ngobrol sama Google Assistant cuma orang-orang British doang. Nah kayak gitu-gitu kita juga harus mikirin. Jadi supaya internet itu bisa mengakomodasi orang yang dengan berbagai background, dengan berbagai latar pendidikan yang berbeda-beda, itu gimana caranya biar mereka semua bisa berpartisipasi juga di internet, bisa menikmati layanan di internet juga. Itu isu yang ketiga. Oke, I'm lost. Yang keempat adalah tentang siapa sih yang bisa menggunakan internet gitu. Kalau sekarang teman-teman di sini mungkin ya udah pada tahu ya, kalau di orang di kota kan udah pada ngerti gimana caranya googling atau gimana caranya pakai WhatsApp, install sendiri gitu kan. Tapi bayangin aja teman-teman yang di desa yang nggak ngerti gimana caranya pakai search engine atau yang lain gitu, mereka nggak bisa berpartisipasi gitu. Jadi kayak analoginya kayak gini, misalkan ada sekelompok orang yang tahu bacaan itu mereka cuma bisa baca dari majalah gosip gitu misalkan. Jadi yang mereka baca sehari-hari ya dari majalah gosip doang. Mereka nggak tahu ada majalah yang lain, mereka nggak tahu ada buku, mereka nggak tahu ada ensiklopedia, mereka nggak tahu ada mading misalkan. Ya mereka bacanya setiap hari ya majalah gosip. Jadi yang mereka tahu sehari-hari ya gosip artis doang gitu. Ya mereka nggak berkembang kan, jadi nggak bisa berpartisipasi di platform yang lain. Sedangkan kalau misalkan kita ngajarin mereka gimana sih caranya pakai search engine, gimana sih caranya browsing lewat desktop misalkan, nggak cuma lewat handphone doang, mereka pasti bisa menjamah website-website yang lain yang sebenarnya bisa lebih bermanfaat daripada kayak misalkan mereka cuma tahu internet dari WhatsApp doang atau dari Facebook doang yang setiap hari mereka akses. Itu kan lebih banyak ilmu yang bermanfaat kalau mereka tahu internet as a whole gitu. Itu tentang web literasi. Dan yang terakhir itu tentang decentralization. Ini ngomongin tentang The Frightful Five. Ada yang pernah dengar The Frightful Five? 5 company terbesar di dunia internet sekarang ini. Ada di sini. Iya, ada Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft. Jadi mereka sekarang kan bisa dibilang internet itu didominasi oleh 5 perusahaan ini kan. Jadi semua produk yang kita gunakan sehari-hari, bayangin aja dari Android phone, terus device-nya ada yang pakai Apple mungkin, terus belanjanya di Amazon, ya lagi-lagi ke situ-situ terus gitu. Kayak kalian bayangin aja kalau misalkan kita semuanya di Indonesia gitu, misalkan belanja itu dari Carrefour doang, dari misalkan Bukalapak doang, ada yang membisikkan, dari misalkan Indomaret doang, terus mereka nggak lagi belanja dari toko kelontong biasa, dari warung-warung kecil gitu ya, karena semuanya belanja pada di toko-toko besar, warung-warung kecil itu semuanya jadi kayak perlahan-lahan surut, semuanya kayak nggak laku lagi gitu. Jadi itu memusnahkan bisnis-bisnis kecil sebenarnya kalau kita terus-terusan bergantung sama ya 5 company yang tadi itu gitu. Jadi sebenarnya internet yang baik itu ya kita pakai juga alternatif yang lain mungkin. Jadi kita nggak sepenuhnya tergantung sama mereka semua, karena bayangin aja kalau misalkan mereka sangat mendominasi gitu. Misalkan semua orang di Indonesia punya akun email di Google gitu misalkan, ya Google bisa semena-mena dengan Indonesia. Misalkan si Larry Page mau jadi presiden di Indonesia kan dengan gampang gitu bisa ngasih campaign lewat email atau segala macam gitu kan. Bayangin aja gitu, itu salah satu contoh aja gimana dominasi internet bisa mengubah ya dunia gitu. Dan itu sih, itu baru 5 dan kayaknya serem-serem banget ya kalau dibahas. Tapi ya banyak juga sih yang kemajuannya kayak misalkan di area yang privacy dan security tadi. Ada yang pernah dengar GDPR nggak? Yang developer gini-gini. Iya bang. Indonesia gara-gara ada GDPR. Iya, jadi si GDPR ini sebenarnya adalah salah satu milestone juga yang itu meningkatkan kualitas standar di mana kita harus menjaga privacy user gitu. Jadi meskipun GDPR hanya berlaku di Europe, cuman itu kayak jadi standar baru bahwa user privacy itu sebenarnya ya penting emang gitu. Terus ada lagi tentang HTTPS, ada yang tahu bedanya website HTTPS sama HTTP biasa? Ada quiz, ada ini nggak sih? Ada yang lagi? Jangan dulu. Jadi kalau HTTPS itu website yang udah dienkripsi gitu, jadi lebih aman, lebih kalau misalkan kalian mau ngasih mau transaksi online itu juga lebih secure daripada website yang HTTP biasa gitu. Karena kalau HTTP biasa itu sangat rentan untuk diretas sama orang lain gitu. Kayak bayangkan kalian ngirim surat yang satu pakai apa tuh namanya kartu pos, yang satunya pakai amplop gitu. Kalau amplop kan ditutup tuh nggak bisa dilihat sama tukang posnya. Nah itu HTTPS. Kalau HTTP itu yang pakai kartu pos itu tadi. Jadi tukang posnya juga bisa lihat mbaknya nulis ini gitu misalkan. Jadi itu bedanya HTTPS dan HTTP secara singkat aja sih.
Tapi berarti website yang digunakan untuk phishing itu enggak HTTPS.
Iya.
Saya bikin phishing website tapi HTTPS.
Iya, itu aja.
Ya sampai salah pengertian.
Bisa ya ini. Oh iya.
Mungkin bisa lihat itu sih logo hijau di atas itu.
Oh iya, kalau kalian pakai Firefox itu membedain caranya ngebedain website yang HTTPS sama enggak itu ini. Jadi kalau ini hijau berarti ini secure. Kalian bisa misalkan mau beli sesuatu atau apa gitu. Ya setidaknya bisa dipercaya lah. Gitu.
Ini bukan berarti yang phishing nggak mau buat HTTPS.
Iya. Ya itu tanda lagi. Atau teman ada yang tahu tuh factor authentication? Ada yang udah pakai? Ya, berarti udah pintar semua nih di sini nih. Gila. Ya jadi 2FA itu kayak security tambahan. Kalau kita kan biasanya bikin akun cuma pakai password doang. Nah 2FA itu kita bikin layer tambahan biar sebelum password udah masuk nih, kalian juga harus autentifikasi pakai hal lain misalkan SMS atau fingerprint atau apa gitu. So, itu nambah layer security yang kedua biar lebih secure. Itu aja sih kayaknya biar nggak lama-lama juga karena kita masih ada 2 pembicara yang lebih keren dari saya setelah ini. So thank you so much. I'll give the floor to Atlis. Yaudah, balik lagi ke Mas Atlis. Thank you. Dia mati sendiri kalau nggak dipakai.
Oh, terus di on.
Oke, terima kasih untuk Rizky tadi yang sudah menyampaikan paparannya. Kita tahu bahwa penting sekali health report tadi. Kemudian yang selanjutnya adalah dari Ibu Mary Ellen. Oh, sorry, Jet, sorry.
Me first?
Okay, yes. Give some speech.
Ready to go up there? Can you hear me? Thank you. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
comfortable like this, so I have to go up there too. I speak all the time, so I'm not worried about speaking. But so my name is Jim Dorber. I'm sorry. You want me to go up there?
So everyone can see you.
Okay. Wow. Okay, my name is Jed Dornberg. I am Deputy Cultural Affairs Attaché at the U.S. Embassy here in Jakarta. I apologize, I do not yet speak Bahasa Indonesia. But I'm here with Mary Ellen. We have a program at the embassy where we bring American speakers, experts to come out and share what they know and to learn a little bit about what you know, so that we can help foster that relationship, the development the partnership that exists between the United States and Indonesia. This is an example of the kind of partnership that we foster and that we create, and that together Indonesians and Americans make the world a better place. And so we're very happy, very proud to be able to bring Marianne out here to share with you. And this is kind of funny because this is really kind of your home, more than mine. But I guess I'm here in part to talk to you a little bit about how we can work together, the U.S. Embassy and this Mozilla community. The embassy really sees itself as being a place, a partner who can cooperate with you, who can grow together with you, who can help you connect to people, use our networks to build and strengthen your community, to get the word out about what you're doing. And we do this in a number of different ways. One is we have a cultural center here in Jakarta called At America. Have you been to At America? Okay. So At America is at Pacific Place Mall. You're all welcome to come there. It should be your home away from home. It's a big center. We have a lot of activities there. We do between 12 to 15 events a week. We have somewhere in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 people a week come into the center for various activities. We do every kind of activity you can imagine. We have talk shows, we have movie screenings, we have discussions, we have trainings we've done coding, we've done filmmaking, we've been doing public speaking, pitching, business ideas, whole series of programs. What our interest is being a place where Indonesians and Americans can come together and they can explore ideas, explore experiences, share those experiences with each other, participate, have that experience of people being together, and then express themselves, have a conversation, talk about what those ideas are and what they mean to you. So that's basically open to all of you. I would add that if this community wanted to have a venue, to have a bigger discussion, our space fits about 250 people for a single event. So we welcome you if you had an idea and you wanted to come and talk to us about the health of the internet or something like that. We'd be very happy to have you be a partner. Come in, use the space, present your talk. We will use our ability to get the message out to reach people so you can get a bigger audience for that. We've done, as I said, coding events in the past. We'd be happy to cooperate if you wanted to come over and do a series on training on basics of some coding language or something like that. We'd be happy to be a partner with you on all those kinds of activities. And we hope that you'll come and enjoy those activities that we put on. About half of our events are run by local partners. That not everything is an embassy authorized program. A lot of it are local partners coming to us and saying, we have something to share with people. We need a space, we need a platform to talk to people about our new idea. And that's a large part of what we do. So I want you to all come out. I want you to think about if you have ideas. You don't have to be an organization. You don't have to be authorized or have any paperwork. If you have a good idea, you can come to us. You can go to our website. Can I use this? I'm sorry, can I use this? Yeah? Better go from there.
Sorry, we're
Udah
turning
bisa
off.
klik. Udah. Belum.
So this is our website. It's atamerica.or.id. Okay, there we go. And I'll just sort of point out a couple things to you. So we have a list of upcoming events. You'll see that Marianne will be speaking there tomorrow. But we have an event around sort of smart lifestyles as it relates to use of plastic. We have concerts. We do all kinds of programs about how to get into schools in the United States, and all sorts of programs like that. And let me see if I can. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. There's a 360 view of what the center looks like, which I'm trying to show you, but that's okay. So that's one way that the U.S. Embassy gets involved. Another thing that I really think is important for me to say to you all here is that we also have an organization. We have a group called Waisili. Waisili is the Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative. This is a program. This is our flagship program, reaching out to young Indonesians who are today's leadership. This is reaching out to Indonesians between the ages of 18 and 35. That's most everybody here. And it's a self-identified, the only requirement is the age, that you live in Indonesia and that you are between 18 and 35. There are no other requirements, there's no fee to be paid, you don't have to have college education, anything like that. But you need to have a desire to make a difference, to be a leader in Indonesia. And we provide opportunities for you to learn the skills you would need to be that leader, to give you the networks and connections so that you can become that leader today, now. The motto of Waisili is, you're never too young to lead. And the flagship of that program are opportunities to do exchanges, to go to the United States. As part of the program, we have two exchanges. One is a student exchange, where you go to the United States as a university student for 1 year. And the other one is a professional fellowship, where you go to the United States for a short certificate program, and then follow on with an internship, a fellowship at a U.S. company or organization. You spend a year there working in that space, learning how they do work that is similar to your interests, similar to your pursuit. And then when you come back, you are obviously a champion of our center, and you're able to connect, and not only connect to other young Indonesians who want to be leaders, but young people throughout Southeast Asia. So we have a large number of people that are connected across the region. They're able to share with each other their experiences. They're able to share their challenges and how they've overcome those challenges. We found it's been a real force multiplier. It's really empowered those young people to become leaders and have voices in their organizations. There are plenty of examples I can point to where a young person might be in a very large organization, a ministry of a government somewhere, and they are faced with a problem, and they say, I know somebody who lives in the Philippines who's dealing with the same exact problem. And they're able to take the lessons learned from that problem and apply it in their current job, and it helps to elevate their importance within their company. It gives them a voice. It gives them resonance within that community. So it's a really great program. It's been very, very successful. The Oceans Conference that we held in Indonesia this year, in Bali, the youth portion of that program is being organized by a group of these young Waisili leaders who ran the conference last year, were identified by the government of Indonesia as having done a fantastic job, and were given the official contract for the youth portion of the contract this year. It's an NGO that just started a year ago, and they're doing a fabulous job doing that. So, if you're not a member of Waisili, I hope you all sign up and join. Let me see if I can find the website here for you. Here we go. I'm having trouble on the computer today. Okay. Here we go. There are over 25,000 Indonesians as part of the Waisili program. The total program is about 100,000 people currently. So Indonesia carries by far more than its weight within this organization, with all 10 countries of the ASEAN plus Timor-Leste. So please think about joining this organization. And this is an example of how we're helping you become a multiplier effect, how we're helping connect people together. What we bring best to you and any other organization is our ability to bring people together, to make introductions, so that you can take ideas and concepts and grow them. And this is exemplified in part by Mary Ellen's visit. We're bringing somebody here that you can connect to, and hopefully you'll get an idea and you'll be able to catalyze, you'll be able to develop that idea, grow it, and in that way make a difference in your community in the way you want to have a voice for yourself about what you want to achieve and see done in this country. And that's what the United States wants to be your friend and your partner in making those things happen. So those are, I think, the two things that are most important for me to mention to this audience here. There are plenty of opportunities, but these are great ways to get to be known by us and then to begin to have that relationship, begin to have that conversation so that we can help you be the best person you can be and make Indonesia the country that you want to see it in the future. So I guess I can take questions, or we can save it until later.
Ada yang mau bertanya?
Questions? We can save it until later. I'll do that. Give the chair over to Mary Ellen. I think you should, right? Yeah. I'll let you know. Okay, thank you.
Oke, selanjutnya kita akan ada games lagi.
Kuis satu aja.
Oh, kuis.
Satu.
Oke, one.
Berhadiah merchandise Firefox Rocket lagi.
Okay. Official merchandise is original. You can find anywhere else.
Siapa yang sudah install Rocket di maju dan kasih lihat. Nah, sekarang udah install.
Oke, cepet-cepetan installnya berarti.
Saya kasih waktu 10 detik ya.
Setengah menit lah.
Iya cuma 2 MB doang Pak, jadi juga harusnya 7, 8.
Mau pakai yang pakai juga.
Berarti nggak ada yang belum ada yang install ya? Ya udah lewat. Kalau gitu siapa yang tahu versi terbaru Firefox di desktop? Firefox ini ternyata gak ada yang bisa jawab. Gagal. Terlalu susah. Kalau nggak cek itu lah, cek kalau yang udah install nggak ada, belum ada yang install. Nggak harus Rocketnya.
Firefox pun nggak ada.
Firefox for Android ada yang install?
Android ya, enggak.
Firefox for Android.
Aku pakainya Nightly.
Iya itu kan Firefox juga.
Oh, boleh.
Iya boleh.
Ya,
Kasih lihat sini.
oke. Ya.
Ini lagi pakai Nightly.
Okay. So he is using Nightly.
Wow.
Developer.
Ini masih programnya juga ya. Programmer atau apa? Ini bisa sharing ke teman-teman kita. Alasannya pakai Nightly. Kenapa?
Saya makainya tuh karena ini Androidnya jadi apa? Old fashion ya, jelly bean. Dan dia tuh kayaknya stabil, lebih enak dan nggak suka nge-close kayak yang Firefox biasa. Nah ini runningnya smooth banget.
Ya Nightly juga lebih enak.
Iya, nanti untuk older version.
Terima kasih.
Payung atau jas hujan?
Ya.
Ya. Silakan.
Apa lagi? Sebelah kasih Pak.
Ngapain tuh?
Pegang Pak. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Selamat.
Oke, terima kasih. So the next is the star of our event. So please welcome. This is Mary Ellen Muckerman. The floor is yours. Star. I know the star.
Tonight.
Okay, hello. And I'm sorry, I only have one language. And that's so I'm sorry. So hopefully that will be okay for tonight. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I do at Mozilla, and what I do is I lead the brand strategy team. So I'm curious to hear what you think. Well, first, everybody think a little bit about your favorite brand. Think to yourself, you can write it down if you want to. Think about your favorite brand. How would you describe what a brand is? What does that word mean to you? This you don't have to say to yourself. This you can say out loud.
Image.
Image?
Identity. Identity.
Identity. So identity meaning kind of
What makes you different from others?
what makes you different from others. That's great. Yep.
How you want other people to see you.
How you want other people to see you. What their perception is.
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle. So kind of reflection of what you stand for out in the world. Very smart room here tonight. A lot of the things that I wanted to talk about. So why don't we start? I'm going to, if it's okay, switch these. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about brand strategy. So these are a few of the brands that I've worked for. I've been working for a very long time, as you can see. So there's a few of the brands that I worked for during my career. So the first one, does everyone recognize that? McDonald's. It's a pretty well-known international brand. The second one, who's ever heard of Target? Oh yeah, so Target's a store in the United States. Very many, there's I think over 1,000 stores in the United States. It's a very popular store because it has very affordable merchandise. So many people shop there. I worked there for a long time. Then I went into consulting. So I worked at a brand strategy agency, and I got to work with lots of different types of companies. So the first logo up there, does anyone recognize that? Smithsonian? Yeah. The Smithsonian is a museum. It's actually a bunch of museums. It's about 19 different museums, 20 research centers. It's based in Washington, D.C., but it's all over the world as well. DreamWorks. Are people familiar with DreamWorks? Yes. Shrek. If I say Shrek, you say DreamWorks. So DreamWorks is an entertainment company, but very interestingly, they also think of themselves as a technology company because they create a lot of their own proprietary technology that helps them make animations that's different than other people out there. I also worked with Google when I was at this consulting company. I know I don't need to tell anybody who Google is. But that's when I started also to work with Mozilla. Mozilla was one of my clients. And so I got to know Mozilla from working really as a contributor. And my very first experience was being invited to come as a contributor to a big all-hands meeting. And now I've been at Mozilla for about the past 4 years. Rara was actually one of my very first contributors that I met, I think, when I started at Mozilla too. So you go way back. But I share this with you just to show you, you guys brought up a lot of interesting examples of what a brand is. And I think some of these brands embody a lot of those. They're an identity. You see those golden arches, and you think of something right away. They're very familiar, and they mean something all over the world. And that's a great example of what a brand's all about. So while I've worked at all these different places over my career, the thing that I've done that's pretty consistent through all of those is I could describe myself as a brand strategist. But that makes you ask, well, what is brand strategy? That sounds like kind of a complicated term. It might be a lot of fancy words that don't really mean all that much. So let's break it down a little bit. So when I talk about brand strategy, this is how I would define a brand. And I think you guys hit on most of these ideas when we were talking about that earlier. So I think first and foremost, a brand is a promise that you make. So you're telling your customers that you're going to act in a certain way, that they can expect certain things from you. And you have to keep that promise every single day. The way you usually do that is through experiences that you deliver out there. Those experiences could be products, it could be services, it could be events. There's all different types of experiences that you could deliver to your customers or to your audience, to your users. It's also the image you communicate. And so the image could be, it could be your logo, it could be your tone of voice, it could be your reputation, but it's what people think of you. It's kind of your personality as a brand. And then very importantly, it's the relationships that you nurture. It's when I ask you, what's your favorite brand? It's when you come to mind to people, when they think about their favorite, because that means that you have a personal relationship with them. You're part of someone's everyday life. All of that is done to create value. And it's really a two-way value exchange. Brands are creating value for their customers, and customers are creating value for brands too. But then you've got that word strategy. So if this is what a brand is, what is strategy? And I would actually say that strategy is what you do and what you don't do. And it's almost more important sometimes what you don't do in terms of strategy. Because if you have a good strategy, it can help you make those types of decisions. So if you think about brand strategy then, the way I like to think of it is that once you have your brand strategy, it's really your roadmap for impact. It helps you make a difference in the world. And a lot of times when people think about brand, so how are you making a difference in the world? You're making a difference through your culture. So you think about the people that work for a brand and the decisions you make about who you are, how you treat the people that work for you, that's your culture. Your brand should impact that. It should impact your capabilities. So when I talk about capabilities, what I mean by that are the things you're really good at. What are the skills that you have as an organization that nobody else has? The combination of your people and your skills and what you're investing in, that helps you create specific types of offers out there in the world, products and services and those types of things, that eventually you communicate. So you talk about through marketing, or you talk about through advertising, or all different sorts of things. And that's really important. A lot of times when people talk about a brand, they go right to communication. They only think of it as maybe your logo or your advertising. And I think it's really important that a brand starts on the inside. It starts with who you are. And only then can you be really authentic in what you're offering and how you're talking about it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So how do you figure out what that brand strategy is? So this is something that I've come back to time and time and time again. It's a pretty simple diagram, but it's actually pretty powerful as well. And you ask yourself two really important questions. What's special about your company? And then what does the world need from your company? And if you think about each of those, when you're thinking about what's special about your company, you're thinking about it from the inside out. So we talked about your culture, your capabilities. What do you do as a company that nobody else can do? That makes you really different, that makes you really unique, that makes you really special? Think about that and write that down. That becomes a really important place to start. But then equally, you can't just be unique out there, right? You have to be relevant. People have to care. You have to be solving some problems or offering some solutions that nobody else does. So then it's also really important to think about what does the world need? And that helps you think from the outside in. And what I've found is in a lot of technology companies, and especially in a lot of startups, new technology companies, people focus a lot on what's special about them, and they forget to think about what people really need. Especially if you're a technology company that's got a lot of engineers, you just think like, man, this is so cool. Like, we can build it. Like, we should just build this. And you have to stop and think about, but what does the world need? Right? What problems are we solving? So that's really important to look from the outside in as well. Then when you get those two lists of things, that really helps you think about what that special brand idea is. Should I just stop talking in this? And that brand idea is what lives at the intersection of what's special about your company, so how you're unique, and what does the world need from your company. so how you're relevant. And that brand idea should really be a filter. It should be that thing that you go back to and make those decisions on day after day after day. And it's that thing that helps you figure out what to do and helps you figure out what not to do. So let's think about that as it relates to Firefox and Mozilla. And we'll apply this formula and see if you think it makes sense. So the company that we work for is called Mozilla, and our product is called Firefox. And those have a really important relationship to each other. So Mozilla is based, as you've heard earlier, we're a not-for-profit company. We've been based on a mission since we began, and that mission is to ensure that the internet is a global public resource, open and accessible to everybody. That's been our mission since day one, and it'll be our mission as long as we exist. So the fact that Firefox is a browser, a desktop browser, mobile browsers, increasingly apps and other types of services, the fact that Firefox is made by Mozilla, this company that has this type of mission, that differentiates Firefox from the other choices that are out there in the world. That's really important. And then when we think about why it's important that Mozilla makes products, it's important to us because Firefox demonstrates what we're all about. So we're different than just an advocacy organization who has a philosophy that they believe in. We actually have a philosophy and we make products that show that that philosophy has a viable market out there, and that we can take this philosophy about the Mozilla mission and build that into our products, and people are going to want to use them. So that's the relationship when we think about those two brands. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Firefox. Because some of you use it and some of you don't, and I want more of you who don't use it to try it, and I'm going to try to convince you why you should. So we'll go back to this. We'll go back to this, and this has a very special name. We call this the brand butterfly. Because you kind of tip it on its side, it looks like a butterfly with wings. So we'll go back to this, and we'll do this for Firefox. We'll do it together. So when we think about what's special about Firefox, remember here we're thinking about the culture of Firefox, what Firefox is really good at. What are some things that come to mind for those of you who are familiar with Firefox? Safe. Private. Customized. I'm sorry? Oh, with add-ons. Yep. Yep. Contributor-based. Open source. Friendly. Yes. Very friendly. Like games with each other. Oh. So, great list, right? So I think we got most of those. So one of the important things about Firefox is that we are built based on open source software, but that isn't just about how we make software, it's actually how we treat each other as an organization too. So those principles of open source have become part of our culture, not just part of our engineering strategy. We have a not-for-profit business model. That differentiates us in a big way from the frightful five that Kiki talked about earlier. We don't have to make money in the same way that the other companies do because they have to pay their shareholders. We as a not-for-profit don't have those same type of pressures, so we can make different decisions. Okay, nobody falls asleep because the lights went on. We're also built on the Mozilla Manifesto. And if you're not familiar with the Mozilla Manifesto, you should take a look. It's pretty cool. It was written over 10 years ago by our founder, Mitchell Baker, and it described the way that we thought the internet should be. And we've been using that as our guiding principle for the last 10 years, and we just added some addendum to the manifesto just this year, just in the past couple months, because we realized that we wrote that manifesto because the internet has changed so much since we wrote that manifesto. And so it's a really interesting read. I would encourage you, and I've got some slides that show some of that. Another thing is that we have technical and advocacy expertise. Like I said, we just don't talk about the idea of how the internet should be, we make products that help make the internet healthier. And And so it was great that Kiki talked about our Internet Health Report, because we take that really seriously. We really are wanting to make the Internet, if the Internet is open and accessible, it's a healthier place for all of us to be. And so our products make a big contribution to that. And last but not least, we're not an Internet giant. We're not one of those frightful fives. We're not trying to take over the Internet. We want to make sure that there's space for everybody. So those are some things that make Firefox really different. And really no one else can claim these. And that's a really important test to think if you're making this list about what makes you or your company special, that these are things that only you can claim. So then we think about, what does the world need? And Mozilla is a pretty small company in the big scheme of things. We're only about 1,000 people that work throughout the world, and then we've got 10,000 volunteers. But that doesn't compare, that just pales in comparison to the bigger technology companies out there. So we have to make some decisions about where we invest our time and our money. And so we did some work a couple of years ago to think about, what's the type of person who's going to be most likely to want to use the types of products that Mozilla makes, that also is going to be likely to contribute to a healthier internet. There's that value exchange, right? We're providing value to these people with our products, and in turn, they're providing value back to our mission. So we thought about it, and we did some research, and we've identified a group of people out there that we call conscious choosers. That's a name that we made up. But what we found is there's a group of people that usually vote, they're interested in recycling, they care about where their food comes from, they read their labels, they're probably active in their community. And when we did some research, we did research in Germany and the United States and Brazil. We found that represented about 23% of internet users. Right now, Firefox users, there's about 15% of everyone who uses the internet, about 15% of them use Firefox. Of these conscious choosers, about 15% of them use Firefox as well. So what this represents for us is a growth market. As we're thinking about creating new Firefox products, we're keeping this conscious chooser in mind. It's not to say that if you're not a conscious chooser, we don't want you to use our products, but because we have to make some strategic decisions, decide what to do and what not to do, we're using this conscious chooser as a target audience to help us make some of those decisions. So when we think about, we've narrowed it down now from instead of what does the entire world need, to really thinking about what do conscious choosers need. And what we know conscious choosers need is, we know first and foremost, they want quality products. They're not going to sacrifice a good product just for doing something nice for the world. So it has to start with good products, and these products have to be quality because conscious choosers do lots of research to find the best product for their needs. They also value choice. They want control of their life on the internet and off the internet. They want everyone to have a fair shot in a level playing ground. They value equality, and they value transparency. They want to know what's going on behind the curtain. These are people who are more likely to boycott something, for instance, out there in the world. They also really enjoy discussing their beliefs and advocating for causes they believe in. They're influencers in their own circles. And this is really, really interesting. Some of the things that we found in research is these people really understand how to vote with their wallet. So to support products and services that they believe in and to not support products and services they don't believe in, they really understand how to do that kind of in their everyday offline lives. But when they get to the internet, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to show that same type of activism on the internet. This is a great opportunity for Mozilla. So then when we put those two things together and we think about what's that brand idea for Firefox, our brand idea is performance with purpose. Because what that does is it really builds on our technical expertise, what we have developed over the years from an open source standpoint, and it matches the idea that conscious choosers want really quality products. They want something to work. But then beyond that, conscious choosers want products that reflect their values out there in the world. They want products that are transparent, that create equality, that give them choice and control. And so that's where the purpose part comes in. That because we're built on the Mozilla Manifesto and nobody else has that going for them, we can deliver products that are both unique and relevant to conscious choosers. So let's look at a couple examples of how we do that. Oh, sorry, one more thing first before examples. So I wanted to just show you how this brand idea works. So a brand idea, performance with purpose for Firefox, that should be both inspirational and actionable, right? It should help us kind of look into the future, but it should also help us make decisions today and get things done. It needs to be unique and relevant, as I said before, something only we can claim, and it's solving a very specific challenge for a specific type of audience. And it becomes that filter and that criteria. It helps us make decisions about what to do and what not to do. What it isn't, very importantly, is it's not a tagline. You're not necessarily going to see us say this in advertising. You're not going to see it lined up under the Firefox logo. This is something that we use really from a strategic standpoint. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. I'm going to show you two different examples of how we use this idea of performance with purpose. And it makes us, helps us make decisions that impact our culture, our capabilities, our offer, and our communication. And it helps, and because of performance with purpose, it's allowed us to do some impactful things out there in the world. So earlier this year, there was a scandal, I guess I'll use the word, uncovered, that Facebook was working with a data company called Cambridge Analytica, and that there were, as it turned out, more than 50 million Facebook profiles were being used without people's knowledge and being mined for information. And this was an article or a headline from The Guardian from March 17, 2018. So because we are, when we talk about from our culture standpoint, as I said before, everything we do is guided by our manifesto. And this is the update to the manifesto's 4 new addendum that we added right around this same time, actually. And it speaks to the quality of the experience that we believe people need to have on the internet and our dedication to making that happen. So this guides everything that we do. We also have a culture where people are very open and encouraged to share ideas. And so this is an exchange between one person from our marketing team and a person in our product team. And the person in our marketing team says, and this is on March 20th. So remember that headline was from March 17th. On March 20th, Tall Eric says, "Hey fellas, I'm wondering with the Facebook and data-related news cycle top of mind, if there are things we should consider doing to educate our users. Thought I'd throw it out there to you. Feels important for us to show dexterity when relevant things are in the public discussion." And P. Dahl writes back and says, "If we wanted to get really aggressive, we could likely do the following. Ship an extension based on containers called Facebook isolation or something like that. By default, Facebook would only load in this isolated container." And Tall Eric says, "That's a neat idea." Okay, so that was on March 20th. So we were able to build on a capability that we had. So we already had this extension out there called containers, which isolates your behavior in a specific tab. So we're like, what can we do with that? We also have a capability around advocacy. So at the same time, our advocacy team launched a petition. And this is where we can get a little pointy. And this says, "Dear Facebook, stop cross-site tracking by default." And so we put that out through our channels, and we started to get people to sign this petition so we could go back to Facebook and show them that people weren't really excited about some of the things that they were doing. That very quickly turned into the Facebook container. Our add-on, we were able to turn into Facebook container. And so we were able to offer that and help people understand that we know not everybody's going to quit Facebook, and that's fine, but you can protect yourself on Firefox by using this add-on, and when you're using Facebook in this container, your activity doesn't bleed out to anywhere else on the internet. And so we're able to very quickly stand up a product offer based on that. So then from a communication standpoint, we started to get some press around this. So TechCrunch, which is a traditional technology publication, covered us. It says Mozilla's new Firefox extension keeps your Facebook data isolated to the social network itself. This was on March 27th. And we were also able to get national coverage in media outlets that didn't usually cover Mozilla, that weren't usually interested in what we were doing with our products, because we're one of the small players out there in this very crowded technology field. So this is my boss. He would hate it if I was showing this picture of him right now. But it's on MSNBC, which is a very large network in the US. It has international reach as well. Another thing that we did, along with launching that Facebook container, is we actually pulled all of our advertising off of Facebook. So we had a petition that was out there, we had a product that was out there, and then we took our own action of saying, we're not going to participate, and we're not going to support Facebook either. So we had different types of actions throughout the organization. And remember, this is all based on our performance with purpose idea. So you can see how, because of our culture, we're built from our manifesto, but also because we have a very open culture, we were able to, from that very first Slack message to getting out in the market was less than a week. So we were able to do something very quickly because we built on an existing capability that we had, made it extremely relevant for our users based on what was going on out on the internet. We created a product, and they were able to communicate that and do some action with our own communication plans as well. So this is all great, but who cares, right? What impact did it make out there in the world? It's a pretty good impact. So from an earned media standpoint, so the coverage that we got from public relations type of activities, you can see that we had over 300 pieces of global coverage, which resulted in about 5 billion impressions. That's way more impressions than we would ever be able to buy from an advertising standpoint. We also, as you remember, had that petition that was out there. That was just one of 4 petitions we did during this window. And we had over 1.6 million people sign our different petitions. That shows that we really hit a nerve with our users. We also really importantly got more people to use Firefox. So we had over 400,000 people download that Facebook container add-on, which resulted in about 225,000 additional daily active users for us. And that's a key measurement that we look at the impact of the success of our product. And then we also were measuring what the social mentions were, both for Firefox and Mozilla during this time. And you can see that we had a 50% increase in social mentions for Firefox and over a 200% increase in social mentions for Mozilla. So this was people out there on the internet talking about us. So that's one example to share. Another example to share is how we take this idea of performance with purpose and thought about that more specifically for Indonesia. Because we know that Indonesia is a different market than the United States. And so we have to activate that brand strategy in a different way as well. But we're still using the same building blocks. So again, from a culture standpoint, we start with our manifesto. And we are dedicated to making sure that our products are helping the internet be and become a more healthy place. We also have this awesome community here in Indonesia, and that is a big differentiator for us. We don't have a community that is as involved in other markets in the world, and that was a big reason that we decided to try to do something different in Indonesia, because we had support and people on the ground to help us figure out the right solutions. So this team was really, really involved in some user research that we did. We also, from a capability standpoint, had an existing product out there called Firefox Focus, which is built for Android products. And it is the value proposition for this is really a safety and privacy-based experience. And so you can see automatic private browsing, browse, erase, repeat. So it automatically erases your browsing history every single time you do it. So it's kind of, we call it kind of like the forget button. One of the kind of unintended value of this product as well is that it's super fast, it's lightweight, because it is built basically to not have any ads load in the experience. So our user experience team came to Indonesia, and our team based in Taipei, who does our development for our products in Asia, and they thought, okay, we know that in Asia, and in Indonesia specifically, that because data is so expensive, and that was one of the things that Kiki showed earlier, that having a fast, lightweight product is more important here than it is in other parts of the world. Is there something that we already know how to build based on us building this Firefox Focus browser that we could adapt and apply to the Indonesian market? And that was the genesis for Firefox Rocket. And so Firefox Rocket has been built specifically for the Indonesian market to address the needs of needing a fast, lightweight browser, but still caring about things about like where it's from, that it's from Mozilla, and still caring about things like privacy and safety. And again, the brand impact is really important. And so one of the key measurements we look at from a product standpoint is retention rate. So once someone downloads it, in 30 days, are they still using it? And so with Firefox Rocket, our retention rate is almost 10%, which is 20% higher than our other Firefox products. So that's a great success indicator. Another thing that we look at is our Google Play Store rating. So in Indonesia, we have a 4.6 for Firefox Rocket, which is the highest of all the Firefox products that we have. Now granted, the other products are at 4.5 and 4.4, but still, 4.6 is higher for the rest of those too. So this shows you two different examples of how we've used this idea of performance with purpose, and built from our culture through our capabilities, we've built products and experiences that really deliver on that. One last thing is, another way that we measure this is by thinking about perception. Someone brought that up earlier when we were talking about what does a brand mean. It's kind of another thing to think about is your image or what people think of you. What we want people to think of Firefox is we want them to think Firefox is fast, that it's private, that it's on your side, and that it's socially responsible. And so one of the ways that we measure this is we do a brand tracker. So on a quarterly basis, we do a brand tracker in these 4 markets, including Indonesia. Annually, we add 3 more markets on, so we do a bit of a deeper dive every September. And we do an online survey to 800 internet users in each of these countries every time we do this survey. We just got results back from our June brand tracker, and I'm sharing things with you that we haven't even shared with the rest of the organization yet. But this is a little bit hard to read. But what this is Indonesia is represented by the yellow line up there. And across the top are a bunch of different words, kind of personality words, including fast, private, on your side, and socially responsible. And then some words that are similar to that. So like for fast, efficient is also one of the words up there. So there's groups of words around those 4 attributes that we want people to think about Firefox. You can see that this gray line is general population. The black line are conscious users. Those are both on a global basis. The yellow line is Indonesia. The green line is the United States. The blue line is Germany. And the purple line is Canada. So what these points represent is how much people agree that Firefox is whatever that word is listed up there. And people are given like 3 seconds. It's like it's a very fast reaction to these different words. So really interesting thing is that there is a higher level of agreement about all of our attributes in general in Indonesia. So Firefox is actually a much more well-known and much more loved brand in Indonesia than it is in some of our other markets. You can also see that compared to the quarter previously, so when we did this in March, there are certain things that where Indonesia has had some pretty significant increases. So with effective, smart, innovative, on your side, you can see that there were significant 5% or more increases in terms of how Indonesians perceive Firefox. So this is cool, and we track this on a quarterly basis. And this is a way that we really measure if we're doing a good job, both from a product standpoint and a marketing standpoint. And then we do something similar with Mozilla. With Mozilla, what we want to be known for is we want to be known for being a nonprofit that's innovative, inclusive, and opinionated. And so again, same colors. So you can see that Indonesia, again, has a stronger relationship and perception of Mozilla than the rest of our markets. And you can see where we spiked with Indonesia in June versus March is in visionary for Mozilla. And you can see that we've got some work to do in the United States and that we also have some strong responses in Germany as well. So we'll kind of leave this where we started it. But when you think about your favorite brand, I hope I gave you a few more tools to think about kind of why they're doing what they do. If you're responsible for any brand, I hope I gave a few tips to think about how you can make sure that you're making strategic decisions about your brand's investment. And for those of you who aren't using Firefox, I hope I convince you just to try it, and see if you like it, and see if it's delivering on that performance with purpose promise that we're making. Thank you very much. Should we play another game now?
Q&A.
Q&A.
Ya, ada yang mau bertanya? Silakan.
Bahasa Indonesia aja nanti dibantu translate sama artis.
I answered all your questions. Here, you
Okay, my name is LD. You can call me L too easily to remember. 2 years ago, in 2016, I was last semester in my college, and I made a thesis for my graduate, and research about brand image and customer satisfaction to loyalty customer. And the object is Mozilla browser Mozilla Firefox. And then I found that the first time internet come to Indonesia, people using Internet Explorer. And then I don't know why, since if I'm not mistaken, since 2012, Mozilla Firefox are the most browser that Indonesian people use. Maybe you already explained the strategy about brand strategy, but my question is, what did you do in 2012? The specific, so you can make Indonesian people move from Internet Explorer to Mozilla Firefox. What's the specific? What did you do? Yes.
I don't know. I wish there was a secret that I could tell you, something specifically that we did. Partly, I'm being honest, I just don't know if there was anything specific that we did, so I can do some research and find out. And the other thing is that market share, it has so many different influences on it. And I could say it could have as much to do with Explorer as it did with Firefox also. And I think the reputation for Internet Explorer has been going down. And so it could, part of it just could be that people were getting tired of having bad performance on Internet Explorer, so they started to look for options. But I don't know if we did anything specifically in 2012. Does anybody else know?
It's the community doing something actually, because by then, so a lot of people in Indonesia are able to learn and using computer technology by using pirated software, because it's just too expensive to buy the legit one. By early 2000, on places and organizations that use pirated softwares. And many people by then are actually access internet via internet cafes. So the operators of internet cafes found out about Firefox, and because this is open source, it's basically for free. It's fast, but it's legit. So they download it and use it in all of the computers in the internet cafes. So those who frequent internet cafes are actually getting used to use Firefox from their experience, thanks to those operators. That's one of the. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Firefox is very popular.
That's interesting. That's great.
Can I just add also to that, because I was an internet user at that time. I was in my university and I was like using a lot of internet, and one of the biggest reasons why there was a shift, particularly I come from ITB, which is a technological school, and why they shifted from Internet Explorer to Firefox was the interface. Because there was, with Firefox you have the download tab, and then you have all the sections much more clustered. Whereas with Internet Explorer, downloading is a bit cumbersome, a bit slow, and then it's not as easy in terms of user interaction as opposed to Firefox. So it was the new product that makes browsing so much easier and neater, and also much more better design.
Good. So I'm glad we have such a smart audience. Thank you for asking that question. I learned something.
I would add something too. Maybe in 2010, Michelle Becker came here to Jakarta, and she was also confused why we have so many. Back then, our market share in 2010 or 2011, I remember, still around like 80 to 90% market share in Indonesia. Because back then, yes, maybe the Chrome not even come out to the market, and our competitor may be on the Internet Explorer. And I would agree to what Ina said, that community also become the factor why Firefox users is huge here. I'm also working as an internet operator like 3 years when I'm still young. And right now I run a web design company. And back then I remember my boss asking me to have the Firefox installed on every computer, because usually they only buy one license for Microsoft Windows, and he wants to install all the computer with the legit browser software. So Firefox is free and it's good. Why not? I think also back then many people, especially the IT people working in a company or a corporation, when they ask about the good browser, usually IT guys use Firefox as the benchmark for the good browser to be installed. And Indonesian people also love to share what's good to their friends. Hey, I found this very good browser. You can maybe download YouTube with this browser. You can use many tabs with this browser, but so much better than Internet Explorer. They would love to share that to their friends. Maybe they can also help them to install if they're confused how to install the Firefox on their computers. So I think that's also the factor. And it comes to another question from me. So back then we have so many huge market share in Indonesia, like what I told you, 80 to 90%. And right now maybe we are less than 10%, maybe, or maybe less than 20%. I think Google Chrome very much decreasing the market share of Firefox, especially in Indonesia here. So how important for Mozilla the market share, and what is the ideal number of market share for Mozilla to be relevant? Maybe stay, because protecting the internet to be open and free for everyone to use is very important. Many people doesn't realize that many users just use the internet, take it for granted. Even many people say, hey, I'm using the internet. Actually, they're only using the Facebook. And even Facebook have a package for users, maybe not in capital city, maybe in small areas of Indonesia. They have a package that people can use the their phone with, they can use Facebook, but they cannot use their browser. But they can enjoy the internet through the Facebook, not through the browser. So that kind of thing is happening in Indonesia. So how do you say about that?
So that's a great question. What's the market share that we need to stay relevant? And it's probably around 20 to 25%, because if you get below 20%, developers don't want to develop for the browser. And so because of that, there's a couple of different things that we're doing. So one is we are focusing on emerging markets in a way that we haven't done before. Firefox Rocket is part of that, and I think you'll see more product development that is focused on specific markets, not just general markets, and not just the U.S. and Europe. So you'll see a lot more product development, I think, in this part of the world. And you will also see us being probably more regionally specific in areas too. So we're making products. Again, Rocket is one of our success stories right now. We're trying to figure out what did we do with Rocket that we can replicate in other markets as well. But it's a good question and a hard question in terms of what's the right number for market share, and how are we. I think the other thing that we're spending a lot of time thinking about is we've got to be able to get there. We have to expand the number of products that we have. The desktop browser usage is going down. It just is. People are using their phones more, and so we need to have mobile products that are as good or better than our desktop products. So that's another area of focus for us in terms of growing new products as well.
I have a question. I'm working in a new organization. We're not even a year old yet. And I saw that the organization is actually spending a lot of money in building strategies, brand strategy, marketing strategy, also doing market research and social media campaign and those kind of things. So everything related to marketing. I understand that giant tech companies also spend a lot of money in marketing. It adds in anything to make sure that people are actually seeing them every day, online and offline. What is Mozilla's strategy to compete in these situations? Because I'm sure that Mozilla is not spending that amount of money in doing marketing. So what is Mozilla?
So how are we competing with the internet giants from a marketing standpoint?
Yes.
So I think the example that I showed with the Facebook container strategy, and then what we call Facebook pause, when we pull our advertising from Facebook as well, is a great example. I think because we don't have the marketing budgets like they do, what we have to do is look at these cultural moments to see where we can kind of do some culture hacks. How can we make sure that we are in the conversation that is the most relevant at the time? And the perfect formula is if we've got both a product solution, an advocacy action that people can take, and then something that we can do as well that shows that we're kind of walking the talk. So that's a big part of how our marketing team is spending our time, is looking for those moments, both being ready for them when they come and anticipating what's kind of what's down the road, and then building communication strategies around that.
Oh, but moments like that doesn't happen very often, whereas you need to stay relevant like 365 days per year. So
in addition to looking at those culture hacks, we also are just making sure that we know what people care about. So another thing that we do from a research standpoint is ask people what they care about on the internet. And one of the things that comes up over and over and over again in the US and Germany is around security and safety and privacy. So you're going to see us doing much more about that topic on a day in and day out basis, because we know that it's important for people. So it's a combination of making sure we understand what's relevant to conscious users and looking for those cultural moments to really get our name out there.
and for emerging markets, because privacy is something that is more applicable to first world citizens more than emerging markets.
Yeah. So in emerging markets, it is more around lightweight and fast. Lightweight being the main thing. And so we've got a team based in Taipei who does our marketing strategies for emerging markets, and that's what they will really be focused on. And again, kind of the same thing, creating ongoing content that we can use to keep our name out there day in and day out, and then looking for those moments where we can do the same thing with product and other actions to make sure we're in those cultural conversations.
I have a question. So you say a lot that Rocket is our success story in Mozilla. And have you studied if there's any correlation between the success of Rocket with the desktop browser market share? Is there any correlation if Rocket success increased the desktop market share?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kiki. I don't know. Someone may have that.
You haven't measured that.
I don't know personally. I wouldn't be surprised if someone knows that. I don't have that information off the top of my head. It's a great question.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's time, I'd be curious to know what some of the brands are that people thought of.
Favorite brands?
I may not know them. The favorite brands, yeah.
Anyone want to share?
I usually love IKEA for household. And I love Uniqlo for textile. This is my Uniqlo. And I love to go to Starbucks to work remotely in Indonesia.
Anybody else?
I know I'm not the prime audience for this discussion, but I would just make a point. I find now with me, my favorite brands are more and more smaller brands that I can know better. I know what they're doing. I know where they come from. I'm more connected to who they are than the big brands, than the really big ones where they're just too big. They don't care about me. I'm not big enough for them to matter. So personally, nowadays, more and more, it's smaller, intimate, more grassroots kind of brands that probably not everybody knows about. Is where I'm really focused with my brand. I can't get connected to like McDonald's. It's just too big. They don't care. I'm not.
I like Tokopedia because nowadays I'm doing most of my shopping out of Tokopedia. You can find let's say anything.
It's like Indonesian famous.
It's gone. And I like Mark Jacobs because he said no to Donald Trump's wife.
Not enough. His current one?
Yeah, his current wife. He says no to dress her. So yeah.
He stands by. He is performance with purpose too.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah.
I like either local brand, Indonesian brand,
Nice bag.
internationally.
Yeah.
Either. And Brodo for shoes, but I'm still Nike. But I really love Brodo, Indonesian shoes, local brand. And there's a lot of Indonesian local brand. That's why I came here to learn from you about how Mozilla create the brand strategy. And I want to ask one thing related to the local brand because I'm the brand's Actually, I'm working in a digital agency, Indonesia, and then I'm working with my partner to create like a startup digital agency, and I want to start to concern to the brand and digital strategy for SME, local brand. And what I want to ask is, what is the Mozilla or Mozilla community contribution to the local brand to help their brand, like maybe using the Mozilla technology or Mozilla manifesto, you say before, and others collaboration. Yeah, that's why I came here to find the collaboration.
So, is your question, is there anything going on in the Mozilla community here that you can connect to in terms of small business brand strategy?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any
I
suggestions?
was thinking about a framework that we have. So it's a PR framework that we can use to kind of like perhaps showcase your product, your local product in a kind of like a new, different way than the kind of like a common marketing strategy. So maybe you should try, if you have like kind of like developer, you should try to kind of like learn about A-frame and to see if you can use that technology to showcase your product.
We also have we work with a local creative agency to do creative messaging for Firefox Rocket, and I'd be happy to introduce you to them too.
All right.
I really like Gojek because with one application you can order food, you can get transportation, bike or car or even taxi, and you can order cleaning service, you can order massage, you can order makeups, hair, everything. It's amazing. Yeah, so. And Gojek also helps Ina's favorite brand, Tokopedia, to deliver things on your doorstep at the same day. Yeah. So
Less than 4 hours.
Less than 4 hours.
And it's also a local brand.
Yeah.
It's competing with Grab actually. Grab comes from Malaysia.
Yeah. I've been doing some reading about Gojek.
Uber is very close because Grab, that's why.
Kalau ada yang mau bilang, kamu ada brand favoritnya apa? Boleh ngomong pakai bahasa Indonesia juga kok.
Misalnya suka pakai Samsung, kan banyak tuh pakai Samsung.
Bahasa Inggrisnya.
Iya.
Kalau browser saya pakai Mozilla, cuman kalau search engine-nya saya nggak pakai Google karena kebanyakan Google itu nge-track semua AdSense, jadi saya pakainya DuckDuckGo.
So browsers if you use Firefox, but the
Google for
search engine not Google but DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo.
You use DuckDuckGo instead, and do you find that it works just as well? Yeah.
He says because it doesn't track, because the Google track users and it is for the Google AdSense business.
Yeah.
Ini sama bagusnya,
Enak sih bedanya.
lebih enak, more better than.
Kalau mau Yandex bro? Kalau mau Yandex?
I think you're a conscious chooser.
Ada lagi?
Well, I like Mozilla. The one thing I most like about Mozilla browser is I can turn the web page into PDF. That's it. That's it. That's everything to me. I can read them offline, maybe later. That's
You
one.
should use Firefox Rocket, and you
I
can
already use nightly when I read some article that too long or so many, and then I save to PDF and then
Have you heard about Pocket?
I don't like Pocket. I don't feel like I'm comfortable to use Pocket. I just PDF and at my PC I get ebook library. Kind of. Oh, this is about this topic, and almost 60% of them I get it from Firefox. Save to PDF. That's great thing never happened.
Yeah, but that's something that we're finding here is this, how much people screenshot and use that as a reference, and so that I think we'll see more of that from Firefox.
Indonesian users have funny behaviors.
Unique.
I actually love Pocket. I use it from a long time ago since I was still in university, because at that time data was still pricey, and so I used Pocket a lot to save a lot of articles that I wanted to read, and that kind of like leave a mark on my brain, and I use it until now. And I was so happy that Mozilla acquired Pocket at the time. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, it's a good addition. Yeah.
I like
Bagaimana? Indonesia because that brand help micro business UKM to update their economic prosperity. And why I can say that, why I can say that, because I work there.
Itu mah brand advokat bro. Curang. Brand advokat.
Indonesia we have few popular marketplace. One is Tokopedia, also Bukalapak. Others is Shopee, but Shopee is not for Indonesia. Bukalapak is from Indonesia. I don't use
Iya Mas. Dari jadi
not from Indonesia. China.
belanja.com. Right, well, I think everybody has to take at least one more seat before you go. Thank you.
Ya, ditutup. Berfoto ya?
Sama post-it.
Okay, thank you for Mrs. Mary Ellen. I forgot. Sorry. So, as for me, I have no favorite brand because I want the brand to serve me rather than I serve them. So when they have a product that suits me well, I will buy it. But if they kind of change their strategy and their vision, I can change that.
Yeah.
So,
You're not unusual.
yes.
Demand more.
Thank you. Terima kasih untuk semuanya yang sudah datang ke event ini. Terima kasih untuk Ibu Mary, and then Pak Jet, and Mike, and everyone here. Thank you. Kita bisa berfoto bersama sekarang. Take photos together.
With this background.
Yeah, with this background, Mozilla.
I think it should be in front of us.
We'll be rotated. Okay, on the front end, the front side, yeah?
Oh yeah. Ya, fotonya berdiri di situ menghadap sini, kalian serong. Props boneka yang sama Mozilla, jangan properti.
jongkok juga yang cowok-cowok di depan.
Okay, so y'all just like scooch in.
Iya, squeezing for the back.
Yuk, yang cowok boleh di bawah. Jongkok.
Kayaknya mau digeser aja, kayak geser aja. Nggak bagus ya.
Ada yang pakai boneka.
Udah semua ya? Di luar ada orang lagi ya?
Ada kunci.
Oke, let's go. Wait, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, wait.
Belum bisa loh.
Okay, this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, again. 5, 4, 3, 2. Gantian dong. Mesti gantian.
Pasang yang dari tuh, iya tuh. Ini kan video. Udah gua.
Oh ya. Oke, thank you. Isi posket ya, kita ada posket yang ditempel di depan. Teman-teman kasih kata-kata mutiara atau testimonial buat Mozilla. Oh iya, terutama tentang tamu.
So the best thing to do is to go to the website and then look for collaborators. And then you click on that and type in your idea. Okay. Type there's a form, you just put in your name and contact and your idea. Whatever collaboration you want to do. Whatever the idea is of collaboration. You want to teach a class, or you have friends you want to bring to the event, or anything. Yeah, you can do that. You can have a program, you can teach it, or if you have an idea about something to bring to do the teaching, or we can work with you and think about how we do it. Yeah. Would you teach it?
Jadi
Yes, please. We'd be happy to have you come and do a class. We actually have an event Google when next month. But yeah, we'd be happy to have you. You can come and have a class, teach, lecturing on what it is and what it means, and how it helps people change their life. Yeah. My pleasure. Yeah. And if for any reason you don't get a response, you can send me an email, yeah? Okay? First send it them, and then if something happens, then you can ask me why haven't I heard that? Okay. Comment or remark.
Ya, wah kita ngomongin stop. Don't forget to blow your legs so we can blow out. This is Jack from this embassy. Happy New Year. There's a water. No, going to Milan. And sort of like, why? I didn't have the same color of the embassy. Yeah, so you say Mozilla.
Around 2 hours from
Yeah, so we'll be
yeah. Online. There's physical store in actually this brand is quite expensive from our services side. There's more a lot of brands, but the idea already international. If you love hiking, especially Indonesian, we also like there's a lot of you like hiking? Oh yeah, very much. Yeah.
I didn't bring it up.
So there is one koneksi wifi kan, satu jaringan wifi.
Belum kita tuh pakai Google tapi kan Android itu tau itu. Android juga habis sekali pakai pada ternyata kebong nih. Aku tidak pernah nyatain di bawah. Saya enggak
Bayar anu loh, saya kira orang layanan wes. Saya request kan, tapi dibayar kan. Kopi enak aja.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. But he went to show support. And just said, see her anytime. She's going to be the embassy is taking her to places here, and then to Next IT. No beach. Have you tried to open it?
Tapi susah banget ya, kalau ditaruh di situ dulu. Colok sih emang. Powerbank. Ini kayaknya harus dimatiin deh ini ya. Mana sih? Main dulu, cabut. Ini dia pulang. Kenapa? Kemana? Kok pulang?
Belum di closing.
Belum juga pulang.
Artinya apa ya?
Yang kebanyakan itu.
Nanti flu, jangan. Nanti flu baru kebanyakan itu.
Tidur jam 7 makanya tadi udah makan. Nah, daripada gua makeup ininya udah jatuh.
Mendingan dibilang pulang atau sebenarnya lebih berbahaya kan?
Efeknya sosial ya, efeknya sosial.
Mungkin sama bayi rusak.
Tadinya mau ganti teknik gini, cuma gimana kan nggak mungkin. Ada rencana bisa ke baterai. Yes, yes, Pak. Kenapa nggak
But it's street food. Many people selling street food. You don't try anything. Mostly they were closing down the street food when we started at Civic Center. It's the one in
soalnya
Oh, kita namanya tempat kerja soal
kemarin malah
bisa bisa. Nah, benar-benar. Tapi ini lebih gede. So, buat roti yang kayak
soalnya Pak.
acara sore di Pak.
I have my own company. Really, I do mostly work with project organizations, service design, training services for people
Biar
handphone siapa ini?
from the government.
Wah, ada conversation.
From non-profit organizations. Experience.
cepat kalau kita
Berarti sini lagi udaranya.
No.
Jangan di sini lagi.
Gua kasih tahu nih pekerjaan dari dia nih. Dia tuh, ya,
Kok ada gua? Ada gua. Astaga, ini